car that followed me. I wasn't supposed to be driving that late, but when my boss called saying the morning delivery had to be in Reno by sunrise, I didn't have much choice. The highway through northern Nevada was the fastest route, a long, empty stretch of asphalt cutting through desert and mountains. By the time I reached the highway, it was already after midnight. The gas station attendant had warned me before I left. "Not many cars out there tonight," he said slowly. Then he added something strange. "Sometimes, that's not a good thing." I laughed it off and started driving. At first, everything felt normal. The road was quiet, the sky was pitch black, and the only sound inside my truck was the hum of the engine and the occasional crackle from the radio. For the first hour, I didn't see a single car. Not one. And honestly, I liked it that way. Around 1:40 a.m., I noticed the first strange thing. A pair of headlights appeared in my rearview mirror. At first, I felt relieved. Another car meant I wasn't completely alone out there. But something about it felt off. The headlights stayed far behind me. Way too far. Most drivers would pass eventually, especially on a road this empty. But this car didn't. It just stayed there. Same distance. Same speed. Like it was copying every move I made. I tested it. I slowed down slightly. The car slowed down too. That's when I started feeling uneasy. "Okay, that's weird," I muttered. Maybe the driver was just cautious. Or tired. Or maybe they were using me to help see the road ahead. Still, after 15 more minutes, the headlights hadn't moved an inch closer. And they hadn't disappeared either. Just following. Always the same distance. By 2 a.m., the highway curved into a mountain pass. Tall rock walls surrounded the road, and the darkness felt heavier there. My radio suddenly cut to static. I twisted the dial. Nothing but noise. That's when I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The headlights behind me were getting brighter. Fast. Within seconds, the car closed the gap. Now it was right behind me. So close that the lights flooded the inside of my truck. I couldn't see the driver. I couldn't even see the car clearly. Just the lights. Too bright. Too white. I signaled and moved slightly to the side so they could pass. But they didn't. They stayed glued to my bumper. Closer. Closer. Then suddenly, they flashed their high beams. 3 times. Slow. Deliberate. That's when my phone buzzed. No signal bars. But somehow, a text message appeared. Unknown number. Just 3 words. "Don't stop driving." I stared at the message, confused. Then another message appeared. "They're right behind you." My heart started racing. I glanced back at the mirror again. Of course they were behind me. But why would someone text me that? Before I could think about it, a third message arrived. And this one made my blood run cold. That isn't a car. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. I told myself it was just a prank. Someone messing with me. But the headlights behind me suddenly did something impossible. They rose. Slowly. Like they were lifting off the ground. Not much. Maybe a few feet. But enough to make my brain scream that something wasn't right. Cars don't do that. The lights hovered there for a second. Then dropped back down again. And the car behind me began accelerating. Fast. Within seconds it pulled up beside me. But when I turned my head to look, there was no car. Just the headlights. Floating. Keeping pace with my truck. 2 bright circles in the darkness where a vehicle should have been. I slammed the accelerator. My truck roared forward. The speedometer climbed past 80. But the lights stayed beside me, matching my speed perfectly. Then slowly, they began moving ahead of me. That's when my phone buzzed again. Another message. This time it said something that made my hand shake. "Don't let it get in front of you." But it was too late. The light slid ahead of my truck and moved into my lane. For a moment, the highway was completely blocked by pure white light. I slammed the brakes. My tires screamed against the asphalt. And suddenly, the lights vanished. Gone. Like they were never there. Just darkness again. I sat there shaking, staring down the empty road. No headlights. No cars. Nothing. Just the silent highway stretching into the black desert. Then my phone buzzed one final time. Same unknown number. One last message. "You stopped." I looked up slowly. And that's when I saw something standing in the middle of the road. Right in front of my truck. A tall figure. Perfectly still. And where its face should have been. There were two glowing lights. The man on exit 17. Most people think highways are empty after midnight, but truck drivers know the truth. That's when the road gets strange. I've been driving long-haul routes for almost 12 years, and I've seen things most people would never believe. Strange lights over the desert, radios turning on by themselves, and once, a woman standing on the shoulder of a road that didn't exist on my GPS. But the scariest thing I ever experienced happened 3 years ago on Interstate 80. Just outside a small town nobody seems to remember. The exit sign simply said, Exit 17. No town name. No gas station symbol. Just a number. It was around 2:30 a.m. when I first saw it. I'd been driving for hours through northern Nevada, hauling a refrigerated trailer full of produce headed toward Sacramento. The road had been empty almost the entire night. Then suddenly, my fuel gauge dropped faster than it should have. Way faster. Within minutes, it went from half a tank to nearly empty. At first, I thought the gauge was broken. But then the truck's warning alarm started beeping. That meant one thing. I needed gas. Fast. That's when the exit 17 sign appeared out of the darkness. I didn't remember seeing that exit before. I'd driven this route dozens of times. But when you're low on fuel in the middle of nowhere, you don't ask too many questions. I took the exit. The ramp curved down into a small road surrounded by desert and tall black hills. There were no streetlights. Just my headlights. About half a mile ahead, I finally saw something. A gas station. Old. Dimly lit. Only one pump working. The place looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1970s. But the lights were on. And that was good enough for me. I pulled my truck beside the pump and shut off the engine. The silence out there was heavy. No wind. No insects. Nothing. Just the quiet hum of the fluorescent light above the pump. As I stepped out of the truck, the pump suddenly turned on by itself. The screen flickered. Numbers appeared. $0. Gallons. 0.00. Then the pump handle slowly lifted, like someone invisible had grabbed it. That should have been my first warning. But I was too tired to think straight. I grabbed the handle and started fueling the truck. The gas flowed normally. But something felt wrong. Very wrong. That's when I noticed something strange across the road. Someone was standing there. A man. Tall. Completely still. Just watching me. At first I thought he was another traveler. But something about him felt off. He wasn't moving. Not even a little. And he was standing directly in the darkness, just outside the edge of my headlights. Like he didn't want to be seen clearly. I waved at him. Hey. I called. No response. He didn't move. Didn't wave back. Didn't even shift his weight. Just standing there. Watching. The pump clicked off. Tank full. I put the handle back and looked up again. The man had moved. Closer. But I hadn't seen him walk. Now he was standing at the edge of the gas station lot. Maybe 30 feet away. Still staring at me. Still completely silent. Something about his posture made my skin crawl. His arms were hanging strangely at his sides. Too straight. Too stiff. Like a mannequin. Station closed, I called out nervously. If you need gas, pump still works though. No answer. Then he tilted his head. Slowly. And started walking toward me. But the way he moved. I'll never forget it. His legs moved normally. But his upper body didn't. His shoulders stayed perfectly still. No arm swing. No natural movement. Just a stiff, unnatural glide across the pavement. Step. 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 Every instinct in my body told me something wasn't right. I backed toward my truck. The man kept coming. Then suddenly, the gas station lights flickered off. Everything went completely dark. For 3 seconds. When the lights came back on, the man was gone. I spun around, scanning the darkness. Nothing. No footsteps. No sound. No sign of him anywhere. Okay, that's enough, I muttered. I climbed into my truck and started the engine. The diesel roared to life. As the headlights lit up the road ahead, I shifted into gear and pulled out of the lot. But as I passed the gas station building, I glanced in the side mirror and nearly crashed the truck because the man was standing right behind my trailer. He hadn't walked there. There was no time. And he was much closer now. So close I could finally see his face. Or at least, where his face should have been. because it was completely pale, smooth, featureless, no eyes, no mouth, just skin. Then suddenly, his head snapped toward the truck, and he started running. The moment he started running, every instinct in my body screamed, "Get out of there." I slammed the accelerator. The truck roared forward, tires kicking gravel as I sped back toward the highway ramp. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear the engine. In the side mirror, the man was still chasing the truck. And he was fast. Way too fast. A fully loaded semi isn't exactly quick, but this thing was closing the distance like my trailer wasn't even moving. Within seconds, he was only a few feet behind the back doors. Then something even worse happened. He jumped. The entire trailer shook violently. I heard a loud metallic bang from behind me, followed by a heavy scraping sound. Something was on the truck. Something was climbing. I looked in the mirror again. Two long pale hands slowly wrapped over the top edge of the trailer doors. Then a head appeared. That same smooth, empty face stared directly at me through the mirror. Even from 50 feet away, I could feel it watching me. And then, it started climbing onto the roof. "Nope!" I shouted, gripping the steering wheel tighter. I pushed the truck faster. 60 miles per hour. The highway ramp was only a few hundred yards away now. But the thing on top of the trailer wasn't letting go. I could hear it moving. Heavy thuds across the roof of the trailer. Then, the sound moved forward. Closer to the cab. Something was crawling toward me. My hands were shaking. The thought of that thing dropping onto the windshield made my stomach twist. I grabbed the CB radio. "Anyone on Channel 19?" I yelled. Static. Then suddenly a voice answered. Calm. "Old. You shouldn't have stopped at exit 17. My heart nearly stopped. "How do you know where I am?" I shouted. There was a pause. Then the voice said something that made my blood run cold. "Because he follows everyone who stops there." Before I could ask anything else, thud. Something slammed onto the top of the cab. The entire truck shook. Then slowly, two pale hands slid down over the front windshield. Long fingers, pressing against the glass. I screamed and slammed the brakes. Hard. The truck screeched violently. Tires smoked. The sudden stop threw whatever was on the roof forward. There was a heavy crash in front of the truck. Then silence. I sat there breathing hard, staring through the windshield. Nothing moved. Slowly, carefully, I turned on the high beams. The road ahead lit up. And there he was, lying on the pavement, right in front of the truck. For a moment, he didn't move. Then his body twitched. His head turned slowly toward the truck. And I swear to God, even without eyes, I felt him looking straight at me. Then his legs bent the wrong way. His arms twisted unnaturally. And he stood up. That's when the CB radio crackled again. The same old voice returned. "You have to leave." My hands trembled. "What is that thing?" I asked. The voice answered quietly. "He waits at that exit. Anyone who stops, he tries to ride with them." A chill ran through my spine. What happens if he gets inside? The radio stayed silent for a long moment. Then the voice whispered, "No one knows. They never make it to the next town." I didn't wait another second. I slammed the truck into gear and swerved around the figure. As I passed him, he suddenly lunged toward the cab. His hand slammed against the passenger door, but the truck was already moving too fast. He disappeared into the darkness behind me. I sped up the ramp and merged back onto Interstate 80. 80 miles per hour. 90 miles per hour. I didn't slow down for nearly an hour. Eventually, I reached the next town. A small truck stop with bright lights and other drivers parked outside. I pulled in and jumped out of the truck immediately. Two other drivers noticed the look on my face. "You all right?" one asked. I told them everything. Every detail. When I finished, the older driver slowly nodded. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "You stopped at exit 17, didn't you?" "Yeah," I said nervously. He sighed. "That exit hasn't existed for years." My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" He pointed toward the highway behind me. "There used to be a small town out there. Back in the 1960s. Truck driver hit a hitchhiker near that exit." I felt cold all over. "What happened to him?" The driver looked straight at me. "They say the man had no face left after the accident." Silence fell over the group. Then he added quietly, "And sometimes, he still tries to catch a ride." And the strangest part? The next morning, when I checked my fuel tank, it was still half full. Meaning one thing: I never actually needed to stop. And when I checked the map later that day, exit 17 wasn't on it. Not anywhere. But sometimes when I drive that highway at night, I still see a sign appear in the darkness. Just one word glowing in my headlights: exit 17. And standing beneath it, a tall man waiting for someone to stop. The car that appears at 3:03 a.m. Most highway ghost stories happen late at night, but the one I'm about to tell you happens at a very specific time. 3:03 a.m. Not 3 o'clock. Not 3:05. Exactly 3:03. Truck drivers who run the old interstate route through eastern Arizona talk about it sometimes. Usually in quiet voices at truck stops, when the coffee is strong and the night is long. They all describe the same thing. A black car. Old. Silent. And it only appears after midnight. But the first time I saw it, I didn't know any of that. 3 years ago, I was driving home from Phoenix after visiting my brother. It was a 5-hour drive across desert highways and small mountain roads. I left late. Too late. By the time I reached the interstate again, it was already past 2:30 in the morning. The road was almost completely empty. Just miles of black pavement and the occasional road sign flashing past in my headlights. My phone had no signal. The radio barely worked. And the GPS kept recalculating the route for no reason. Still, everything felt normal. Until the dashboard clock changed. 3:03 a.m. Right at that moment, my radio suddenly cut to static. A loud burst of white noise filled the car. I reached over and turned it off. That's when I saw something in the rearview mirror. Headlights. Far behind me. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Another car on the road was actually kind of comforting. But something about those headlights bothered me. They were too steady. Too quiet. And somehow, they were getting closer. Fast. Within seconds, the car was right behind me. So close the lights flooded the inside of my vehicle. I couldn't see the driver. Couldn't even see the car clearly. Just the headlights. 2 dim yellow circles glowing in the darkness. I moved slightly to the side so they could pass. But the car didn't pass. It stayed directly behind me, matching my speed perfectly. "Okay, that's weird," I muttered. Most drivers pass immediately on empty highways. But this one stayed glued to my bumper. After about a minute, I accelerated slightly. 65 miles per hour. The car behind me sped up too. Still the same distance. Still following. I slowed down again. Same thing. The car slowed too. That's when the uneasiness started creeping in. I glanced back again. And finally, I saw the vehicle itself. An old black sedan. Probably from the 1980s. Long body. Square shape. The paint looked dull under the headlights. And the windows were completely black. Tinted darker than anything I'd ever seen. So dark I couldn't see inside at all. Not even the driver. At first I figured it was just an aggressive driver. Maybe someone impatient. Maybe drunk. But then something strange happened. The car's headlights suddenly turned off. Completely. Just like that. The road behind me went pitch black. And yet, the car was still there. Still following. I could see its silhouette in the faint moonlight. A dark shape gliding silently behind me. That's when my phone buzzed. No signal. But somehow, I had a notification. Unknown number. Just one message. 3 words. Don't look back. A chill ran down my spine. I stared at the message for several seconds. Then another message appeared. It appears at 3:03. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. I checked the dashboard clock again. Still 3:03 a.m. But that wasn't the part that scared me. The part that scared me was the next message. The phone buzzed again. And the text read, "If it passes you, don't let it stop." My heart started pounding. What does that mean? I whispered. And that's when the car behind me suddenly accelerated. Within seconds, it pulled into the lane beside me. I kept my eyes forward. Every instinct told me not to look. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. Slowly, against my better judgment, I turned my head and looked into the driver's window. I wish I hadn't. because there was someone inside. A driver. But the moment the interior light flickered briefly, I realized something was horribly wrong. The driver wasn't moving. Not even a little. His hands were on the steering wheel. But his head was turned completely toward me. And his face was pure white. No eyes. No mouth. Just a blank pale surface staring at me. My blood ran cold. I slammed the accelerator. The engine screamed as the car surged forward. But the black sedan kept pace easily. Then suddenly, it moved ahead of me and cut directly into my lane, forcing me to brake hard. The sedan slowed, almost to a stop, blocking the road. My phone buzzed again. One final message appeared. Don't stop, no matter what you see. But the road was blocked, and the black car's driver door slowly opened. Something stepped out, tall, thin, and slowly walking toward my car. Before you go, I want to ask you something. If you were driving alone after midnight and saw that black car in your mirror, would you keep driving, or would you stop? Tell me in the comments. And if you enjoy true horror stories that might keep you awake tonight, make sure you like the video and subscribe, because the next story I'm posting might be even more terrifying.